everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Today, I am sitting down with Alexandra Felton. Alexandra, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, your company?
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Cass. I currently am the VP of Alliances and Partnerships at THG Ingenuity, which is a UK-based company that is growing into the US.
Great. And can you tell the audience a little bit about your role specifically? Like, what is in your remit? What does your day-to-day look like?
Sure. So 3 weeks, and the day-to-day definitely likely continue to kind of evolve as I get more settled into the company. But really, my remit is to build out our partner ecosystem in North America as we, really kind of bring our e-commerce offering and our fulfillment offering into the market with more investment, of course. In my past life, I've managed relationships with systems integrators. We definitely want to be able to scale our abilities to set up customers, help manage their experiences without necessarily adding to the roadmaps for our product team, and basically be able to prepare for scale. We also want to make sure that as we are going after merchants in the market, we have all the kind of capabilities that they expect. So of course we have all of the basics covered for them, but when we think about fulfillment as an example, that's a really great area for us to, be partnering with specific kind of solutions and making sure that we really have the most innovative services available, making sure returns are seamless as an example. So kind of be taking that two-prong approach to build out our relationships with system integrators and make sure that we can continue to support merchants' needs as they, look to be onboarded to Ingenuity and the commerce product. And then also making sure that we have comprehensive capability set outside of the stuff that we've built ourselves.
Great. And what is a systems integrator?
Sure. No, that's a good one. So a systems integrator is really going to be an agency that is actually going to set up a merchant e-commerce experience. Of course, different businesses offer a variety of services. So there may also be kind of a long-term opportunity to do more digital marketing services outside of just kind of standing up that initial tech stack. That's what it means to me. I know it may differ, as you talk to each partner.
So yeah, definitely. That's great. I work at an agency that does web development and digital marketing. We work on standing up e-commerce websites. So we would be considered a systems integrator, just as some context here. I want to understand Alex's journey early on. Where did you grow up?
So I am a born and bred New Yorker. I grew up in downtown Manhattan. I've been living in Brooklyn for the past, 15 plus years.
Okay. And what did you study in school?
So I went to Parsons for strategic design and management. Okay. So I grew up with my dad being an artist. My mom actually ran IT teams and project management teams at banks. And so I think I was always really interested in bringing together this interest in the arts and fashion, but, kind of incorporating the business element and really wanting to help creatives make money. So I went to Parsons to really, kind of get a good sense of how to set up a creative business. I thought maybe I would own a brand, own some sort of consultancy for brands or for artists. And I've clearly gone down a different path.
Yeah, and that's the case for many of us. It's kind of like the path we embark on. It oftentimes evolves, and where we end up is very different. And I think that is a beautiful journey.
There were so many different types of brands, so many different types of projects. I really liked being able to have an impact, right, on the longevity of their businesses and ultimately the profitability. So that was really exciting for me coming out of college.
Yeah. And what were your learnings in these first couple roles? It's nice that you had exposure to a lot of different types of responsibilities, it sounds like. And you had exposure to different brands. And what were some meaningful insights that you gathered in those initial roles in your career?
I really felt that we weren't making a lot of recommendations around the kind of tools from a technical standpoint that these brands could be using to really elevate their experience. And that was a piece that I felt was really missing. And I wanted to make sure that, I was continuing to understand what was going to, again, drive the consumer experience in the future, what consumers were really going to be kind of looking for when connecting with brands. I love that we focused on the basics of the brand experience and selling ceremonies in boutiques and things like that, and making sure that there is a frictionless experience online. But it was kind of a moment where there were so many different kind of SaaS businesses popping up with different enhancements to that basic online experience. And I was just I want to get in the mix there and really figure out what truly is compelling. What would I as a consumer actually want to leverage in terms of tools to help make decisions for my own kind of buying journey. journey.
I also want to talk about your entry into partnerships roles because I think a lot of folks who are not in e-commerce, not in tech, there's a whole career path doing partnerships. So what does partnerships entail and how did you, so many things for sure. But, and I also want to understand like how you started dabbling or delving into partnerships in your career. Yeah.
Sure. So I'm always willing to get my hands dirty to do whatever it takes to help the business that I'm working for grow, right? While I was at Hero, again, built out the customer success org. I then flipped to the sales side to really expand our relationships with these brands, either across their different markets or some of the brands that we were working with were part of conglomerates across different brands. In that portfolio, I was always eager to find new channels for revenue and also new channels to enhance the experience that we were delivering to our customers with the tech that we had built ourselves. So I started kind of my partnerships journey while at Hero, and there were a variety of different types of relationships that I took on. So I'm usually the person that like puts their hands up, says, yes, there's a challenge in the business, like let me go after it. In the beginning, it started with helping our business expand into new markets, basically setting up relationships with digital transformation companies to markets like Japan as an example. So I was like the only crazy person willing to like get on, calls at all hours of the night to help train one of our new partners on how to not only technically implement our product on merchant websites, but manage these relationships, sell to these merchants and grow the relationships over time. Started with, again, market expansion. We then also worked with companies like Global Blue to, again, kind of deepen our penetration into the luxury space. So that was, again, also kind of standing up like a co-selling, co-marketing motion with very specific kind of target merchants that we were going after. Then I started working with companies like Yoox, Net-a-Porter, and Farfetch to, again, extend the experience that we were delivering to our merchants to merchants that they were kind of managing. In that case, it was really making sure that this kind of really clear ICP that we had defined, that we were connecting with other companies that also had kind of a similar customer set and that we could extend this experience that we knew, again, was helping to retain these customers and basically help them kind of convert in their buying journey. So I hope that is clear enough.
No,
but that's where it all started. And I kind of got a taste for all different types of relationships, from pure just kind of referral models to actually like these really deep relationships where, you're supporting kind of your partner from in that experience.
So you were at Hero. What was the in-between?
Yeah. So after almost 5 years at Hero, we got acquired by Klarna.
Okay.
So I helped, our leadership team basically transition the business into Klarna's framework. I then actually jumped on an in-store payments team and helped basically roll out, a new in-store payment solution to their existing customer base. I was having a great time kind of setting up my role there, but I heard about Shopware. And it just kind of came at this really unique moment where I was just starting to dive into something else after, kind of being like heads down at Hero for quite some time. And while I really liked my experience at Klarna, loved the business and a lot of the people that I worked with, I was still really hungry to kind of work in this fast-paced, slightly chaotic, startup environment. And what I loved about, again, like the proposition with Shopware as like someone new joining the business was the fact that there was a strong foundation. There was a ton of experience kind of just in the market as a whole and lots of learnings that, I could kind of pull from. There was a framework to use. So it wasn't totally starting from scratch. It was just more about almost working in a startup-like environment in the market itself, but still having kind of that base that I could tap into in Germany. I went for it. I honestly didn't know a ton about Shopware before joining, but, I love a little bit of risk, love a challenge, and it turned out to be the right decision.
We met actually when you were doing partnerships at an e-commerce platform called Shopware. And I think that is a very interesting partner position. Can you maybe talk about what your role was there?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I joined Shopware almost like 2.5 years ago. Again, I love a challenge, love to build teams, and I got the opportunity to basically start as like the second employee in the market and build out our partnerships kind of ecosystem. What was great about working with Shopware is the fact that, the business had been around for over 20 years.
Founded in Germany.
Yeah, founded in Germany. company by two brothers who are very much integrated into the business, care about the end consumer experience, the merchant experience, the partner experience, and also the employee experience. And what I love so much about that company is the fact that they had continued to invest in the tech and make sure that they were delivering the best solution for the merchants to use to create these really incredible experiences that also could continue to evolve as consumer demands changed, and not kind of creating a space where merchants would be worried about crazy costs, to kind of enhance this experience as their businesses grow, or, worry about immense technical debt. So anyway, I love the fact that there had been such an investment in making a truly composable and flexible,
like a great product that is serving the needs of merchants.
A vast kind of array of merchants, from small size merchants to true enterprise, very large businesses. And there was also well-established partner ecosystem that had existed for quite a long time. My kind of first goals when I came onto Shopware was to make sure that we were first creating partnerships with technology solutions that our merchants in the market really needed. So, tax compliance, as glamorous as that is something that is critical for businesses to basically address in their e-commerce shop, so that they can basically support customers across the country with all of these, different needs and not get in trouble with IRS if they're not managing it right. Anyway, we started by really focusing on the gaps for the market. We also wanted to make sure that we were building relationships with partners that had been operating in the US and really North America for quite some time, knew the needs of the merchants that were in, again, a similar kind of ICP, and also could provide insights into ways that we could kind of shape our go-to-market strategy to be most relevant. So it was really important for us also to extend these relationships with system integrators and make sure that we were really close to the folks that are doing the web development and,
implementing Shopware
exactly
for your end customer, which are merchants that you're trying to serve. And to your credit, I feel like Shopware has you really created a great foundation, a partnership program at the platform. And do you feel, it seems pretty clear to me, like all the experiences you had working with brands, even as a personal shopper, like you have so many viewpoints in your career path of like customer experience, serving people, and then also building teams. And how do you feel all those experiences led you to partnerships specifically and at Shopware? Yeah.
So no matter what job I do, I am still incredibly passionate about the shopper experience. I am one of these shoppers. I love to shop, in store, online. And I wanted to be working with businesses that prioritized that shopper experience as well. And so that's what I found in Shopware. That's what I found in THG. And I think the reason why partnerships has been such a good fit for me is I'm able to really work across a vast network of technology providers and agencies in the industry that are focused on the same things, right? And there's so many different perspectives on ways that you can positively impact the shopper experience. And I love to learn. So I think just putting myself in a place where I'm continuously exposed to like new stuff, learning about ways to positively impact that journey for, the consumer is really exciting for me. And also being able to, kind of go deep with different partners and construct strategies together to, whether it's, again, kind of acquire customers together or through the marketing lens, kind of raise awareness on our joint value proposition. Again, there's quite a lot there that I can kind of dive into, and a lot of different ways of kind of thinking about my impact to merchants. Yeah. Anyway, I think it's just like that opportunity to collaborate as well is really meaningful for me.
What makes a good partner manager?
Good partner manager. I think there are a lot of qualities there that are important. I think first and foremost, making sure that whatever you're doing is grounded in your joint value proposition. So not only like what are you able to collectively offer the merchant that is better than you guys operating separately, but also making sure that the relationship is set up in a way where you're also like creating value back and forth. It's not just
mutual value.
Exactly.
Synergy and
Exactly. So I think as long as you've kind of aligned on those points of synergy, the fact that there is more opportunity if you work together, also making sure that from a commercial standpoint, there is joint value between both parties, then that's a really strong foundation. And you're not just like like doing it for the hell of it. And the other thing that I think is incredibly important is to be consistent and follow up, right? Like I've seen a lot of partnerships not really flourish and all these great plans come to fruition because there isn't necessarily a focus on execution once that kind of plan has been created. And I think one piece that's really important is, as a partnerships manager, making sure that other people within your business understand why you've constructed this relationship, what their kind of role in supporting the growth of this relationship is incredibly important to make sure that we don't just kind of go out, try to do some marketing, get some merchants interested, and then the rest of our business doesn't actually know what we're going after. So helping to educate and enable the rest of our teams to support these partnerships that we're standing up. And then also, like I said, the consistency piece, like showing up, making sure that we are executing against the plans that we've put in place, that we're holding each other accountable, and direct conversations about what's working and what isn't working. I have definitely been, in positions where the goal has just been to sign up as many partners as possible, and that does not benefit the business. It's about going deep and having quality relationships versus just being able to put up a bunch of logos on a slide and say, this is our partner network, but it's only surface level. I hope that
No, and I totally agree with that because I've lead partnerships for my agency. And so in the seat that I'm in, I have to manage many partnerships. Like we have partnerships with Shopify, but we also have a partnership with BigCommerce and Shopware and Shopline. And I also get inundated with requests for like, oh, would you like to join our partnership program? And because I think all of these platforms, they want access to our clients. They want us to be an advocate for them. But then in my seat, I have to be picky. Like at the end of the day, we have to serve the clients of our agency. That's who we're beholden to. And I also have to be picky with my time. You don't want to necessarily be juggling 600 partnerships. It's much more fruitful for the organization to, like you said, go deep with maybe just a handful if it's just yourself. Oftentimes that's the case. Like you're a team of one, or maybe you're lucky you've got more partner people on your team. But you, on an individual level, you need to be very strategic and invest the time and come to the table with an effort to drive mutual value. And that's where a partnership is actually like worth the time on both sides. And that requires like attention. It requires time. You can't split your time with 600. I mean, on the agency side. I haven't done partnerships on the tech side, so I can't speak to that.
It's
but
the same thing. There are, of course, ways that you can do it, but it's not going to really lead to a positive business impact. And I think you just have to be, really honest with yourself and the folks that you're working with internally about, where it makes sense to spend your time and, how to prioritize specific relationships. And when it's okay just to say, like, either now is not the right time,
Right.
or there actually isn't enough alignment for us to, really be investing in this relationship. So we can just be friends.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think a lot of partner people are very like social and they're very people persons. And so it's naturally maybe the personality type is like you are befriending a lot of people, but in the partner manager role, you have to not lose sight of like, okay, what's the fit?
Exactly.
That's establishing the fit and like constantly be evaluating, is there a fit? It's okay to exit kindly and maintaining friendship. But just like knowing that the investment has to be based on fit, it being a fruitful relationship on both sides. What advice do you have for young people who might want to pursue partnerships or who want to get into tech?
Yeah. So I think the first thing for me is like follow your gut, follow what I'm really trying to say is like be fearless. Just if you see something that's interesting, go after it. Don't get caught up in am I a good fit for this? Do I have experience? Like, I think especially in partnerships, so many people are on, a journey to learn and to grow. And like, you should be part of that as well. I did not have a strong background in tech, but at the end of the day, I really looked at what I cared about and what the businesses I was kind of applying to cared about. Also, made sure that I was putting myself in a place where I could be working with a business that that was doing something new for me. So anyway, I think just not limiting yourself to what you think you're kind of fit for based on your prior experience, right, is like key. And just knowing that other people are on a very similar journey.
And I think it's what's so interesting listening to you about your career path is you didn't have target positions. You weren't like, I'm going to be the sales director or partnerships director. You were like, I am a shopper. I care about the shopper experience. What are those other companies that are really delivering on that? And how do I be a part of that organization? And then you're the type of person who just like rolls up her sleeves, and you've done so many things within an organization. Like you mentioned customer support was one aspect of your story. You mentioned like facilitating communication between different teams, disparate teams that oftentimes are silos, and you were able to be that communicator. So it's really interesting. Like you didn't go after a title, you went after what you care about. That was your guiding light. And I think that is so cool. I would love to hear too about your views on being a woman in leadership.
Yeah.
Also, I'm like, it's really interesting because I'm 31. I've had interviewed some folks on the podcast that were like founders who are 26, like Gen Z.
Yeah.
And definitely had different age cohorts on this podcast. I really am curious your views on this, your perspective.
I think, it kind of comes back to something that I said before. I don't let the fact that like there may not be a lot of people that look like me or have the same profile as me on paper, like in a room. If I want to be in that room, I'm going to go do that, show up, right? I think that if I sat back and like got caught up with the fact that there, kind of very few women that really hold, these kind of leadership positions at, e-commerce platforms as an example, or that's, just really starting to change. I feel like in like the last several years, that could be really daunting and prevent me from, kind of going after roles that, again, I haven't necessarily held in the past, but I still think I would be a great fit for. So I try to honestly just like lock that out, stay focused on the mission that's really important for me. And it's honestly led me into these roles. I continue to try and help other women around me develop their own careers, listen to their own intuition, encourage them to put themselves out there for, new opportunities, new experiences. I often find myself in places like where I wish there were more women. What's actually really incredible about THG, because they have, a beauty business, a nutrition business, is that there is a really high percentage of women across the business and in leadership roles as well. So I'm feeling,
we love that.
Even more comfortable, like when I walk into the office. But yeah, I think you kind of like need to be able to deal with the reality of where things are in many businesses, but also be courageous and be willing to help push that change forward and not shy away. You don't see a ton of representation. Like be that representation.
Right. Has mentorship been a part of your journey?
So like for me personally, I've actually really had a hard time finding mentors. There are definitely people that like I've seen and wanted to get closer to. And honestly, like that's probably an area where I've been a little bit more shy and not really put myself out there. But I have been lucky to work with some really incredible leaders who I was able to have like open and honest conversations with and relationships with, and have been, again, surrounded by leaders who have really pushed me to do things that like I didn't think I could do and really supported me and believed in me. So I don't know if I ever really had like a person I could call up and like grab a coffee with and like talk about my career progression, but I have had people that I've worked with who have put me up for opportunities that they thought I would be really great for, and, really encouraged me to, again, kind of spread my wings and go for something that could be a challenge. So when it comes to like building teams and, really supporting the growth of folks that are working for me, like that's something that I find incredibly important and really try to invest time into. Maybe it's because I've actually found it quite hard to, approach people that I've wanted to be my mentor. And so I really tried to be as open and approachable and available as possible to anyone that would kind of benefit, right, from my support or my advice. So I have really, again, created a lot of space and hold a lot of value value in supporting people that, whether they're directly on my team and I've hired them, or, maybe I kind of work with them in a different capacity and they're just in a different department. Like, if you want that support, that advice, I'm here for you. I'll always be open and direct. I think that's kind of like the New Yorker in me. Like, I'm going to tell you what it is. And there have been specifically like some women that I've worked with in the past that I've just seen like grow and flourish. And I'm like so proud of them. And I just want to continue to be a positive influence in people's work experiences. And I really believe that, and I feel like this is like going to sound really corny, but I really believe in supporting their success and that also contributing to my own success.
I think that something I really wanted to talk about on my podcast with each guest is highlight stories of like resilience and showing that your path has ups and downs. There's failures are part of everyone's story. And I think like resilience is something that is so important to your career, becoming a leader, being a good leader. Can you talk to me a little bit about your resilience?
So I don't think I have like a specific story to kind of like tell to help, I guess, kind of give you a sense of how I operate. But I definitely think of myself as incredibly resilient, incredibly perseverant. Like, as I mentioned, like if I have kind of like a goal in mind, I am going to be working at that, like no matter what. It lives right here. There have definitely been moments in different roles that I've held where maybe things just aren't quite going as planned. I've really put myself out there and advocated for us to, put a bunch of resource behind a specific strategy and it hasn't kind of become fully realized yet. And, people are starting to kind of come around and question, is this the right decision? Did you actually lead us down the wrong path?
Maybe a little voice in your head is like...
Exactly. Like,
right.
Yeah.
How come not performing yet?
Yeah. In my own head, externally, and just really, again, just kind of coming back to what you believe is right. Going, as an example, like going through business being acquired, right? And figuring out like, how are we going to merge these businesses together? There were tons of moments where I was like personally challenged on, is this the right thing to be doing for our team, for our customers? And I really just had to honestly like do like a little bit of meditation and like figure out, what do I truly believe is the right thing to do, and just stand by that. I think that's been really helpful for me to kind of stay the course even when things get tough. I think something that's also really important is, while I've like talked about having my kind of mindset on achieving something and not wavering, you still need a bit of flexibility, creativity, openness to other people's perspectives, right? As you're kind of going through that. So while like there might be like an end goal that I'm working towards, like the path to get there doesn't have to be exactly how I set out in the beginning. And really removing the ego is like, and forgiving yourself. Like, I feel like those are things that took me a long time to do. And once I just started kind of like shedding this like weight and just really being open to the path, not necessarily being as I expected, but just making sure that I'm still grounded in like what matters to me, that, I don't know, has kind of like helped me get to the end and kind of see that success.
I resonate so much with everything
I just threw so much out there.
No,
but
it's like all feels so true to me, to my experience. Like for me personally, I really like therapy.
Yeah.
I think therapy is such a great tool to help with things like self-forgiveness and like help with like ego and help with, self-doubt and things like that. Some things that have been mentioned too by another guest on the podcast, having moments of quiet in your day so that you can actually listen to your intuition. Because if you are just go, go, go all the time and there's noise in your head all the time, how are you going to have that inner voice? That's what I would define as intuition, that like inner knowing.
Yeah.
And it sounds like meditation for sure. My guest, she goes on walks like at least 30 minutes every day where she's completely unplugged. Is meditation a part of your practice?
Yeah. So meditation for sure. Like I do it throughout the day, like when I really feel like it's needed. I think like I have like this big post-it on my desk that's like, it's okay to stop. Taking a walk is incredibly important. Just changing your environment, getting your body moving, especially in this age, like where a lot of us are working from home, I'm like sitting in my living room, kind of staring at my computer all day. But also like something that personally for me has been really cleansing are sound baths.
Okay.
So
cool.
I don't know if you've done one, but just using like your other senses, I don't know, tune into your body in new ways. So yeah, I recommend everyone as like a sound bath, maybe with a gong, maybe without,
Or those bowls, the singing bowls, I
Yeah.
think are cool.
Yeah, so there's so many types of kind of tools and instruments you could use. But for me, I need to have that quiet time. It's incredibly important. So I dabble in many ways to find that. Yeah.
I want to know what you're excited about outside of career stuff. What are you most excited about?
Okay, that's a good one. Well, so I mean, I have a 17-month-old, or actually 18 months today, so a year and a half. I mean, that is definitely something that keeps me on my toes every day. There's just always something new, and being a part of his development, seeing all of these different things that, I don't know, were just kind of like known or that just like weren't that exciting to me from like a new perspective is really, really fun. I also really like to travel. So not that I've like set a bunch of like trips up for next year yet, but just having another person have those experiences with is something that like I really look forward to. So just kind of taking life from like a fresh perspective through the lens of my son is really exciting.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you so much for being on my podcast. This has been such a great conversation. Do you want to maybe share with the audience how they can learn about THG Ingenuity? I don't know, the socials, or maybe you could share.
Sure. So I'll call out the LinkedIn.
Yeah.
There's a THG Ingenuity account on LinkedIn. There's also THG Commerce. If you're specifically interested in a commerce offering, you can check that out. And of course, you can reach out to me directly if you have any more questions about, how we're expanding our partnerships network. I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Alex. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you.